On today's episode of the Investing Revolution, we're going to talk about, is real estate investment a good career path? We'll get into it.
This is the Investing Revolution, a podcast designed to help your real estate investment strategy. On this podcast, we'll teach you the actionable steps to take and pitfalls to avoid so that your real estate investing can thrive.
Welcome to the Investing Revolution. I am your host, Jonathan Cook, and today we're going to talk about, is real estate investment a good career path? So let's talk about what that means. Real estate investment means several different fields. It means several different options for what you're doing day to day. That's everything from buying and selling real estate yourself with your own money to working in real estate. Being a real estate agent is part of working in real estate investment. Everything through mortgage lending, inspections, people working in software, property managers like myself, podcasting perhaps. There are several different career paths you can go down in real estate investing. And I want to talk about what those are, just kind of a brief overview of some of them. We definitely won't touch every potential career path that is in real estate investment, mostly because it covers the gamut of different types of work. What I have always found interesting about real estate investment is it's like a pure form of capitalism. It's one of the most pure forms of it. It is just buying and selling and trading equity through the ownership of real estate. It's a great lesson in nationwide economics. Just to jump back, I want to talk about my path into the real estate investment career path that I've chosen. My family was in real estate when I was a young child. They owned real estate. They owned investment properties. My stepfather has been a broker in the state of Alabama for 20, 30, 40 plus years. A long time is the point. And getting into sales, that was the career path that I had gone down as a young 21-year-old. Getting into real estate sales, it did not click in my mind that every real estate transaction is working in the real estate investment field until I got much older, started working with real estate investors and grew, and made my outreach into what I do as a career, kind of flowed. It's like water. It just kind of went everywhere. And that's one of the interesting things about real estate. So when we're talking making a career out of real estate, the quickest way to join the real estate industry, the real estate investment industry, and getting into it is buying and selling real estate. Let's talk about your basic HGTV style house flipping. Most people have a pretty good understanding of how house flipping works. You buy a property that is below market value. You add in hard appreciable assets, something that makes it worth more, and then you sell it at a higher profit. So that is a pretty cut and dry concept for how to get into real estate investment as a career path. But that's a price prohibitive, a career to jump into. You're not just going to start as a young person and just start buying and flipping houses. You can do it, but there's a cost associated with purchasing properties, adding value into it, getting general contractors, walking all the way through that. But what's interesting is in the United States, the average flip grosses around $67,000 in profit. Now that's gross, it's not net, but your average flipper can do about 3 or 4 a year, depending on the type of property that we are looking at. So let's talk a little bit about flipping. Let's get into what it requires to start down that career path. The first thing you're going to want is making sure that your funds are in order. Find some funding, have some capital. Once your capital is in order, from there, you're going to build a budget. Once you've got your budget laid out, you know how much you want to buy a property for, how much renovation work that you want to do. Then you can kind of pick and choose a market, find an area where those dollars, those sets of numbers and that budget is going to make you a profit. So when you're looking for the individual property that you're going to flip, if the market, and the market is kind of an ethereal, vague thing to talk about, but how that works is, if there are 100 houses in an area and most of those homes sell for $500,000, the market of that area is worth about $500,000. In many cities in Georgia, in Alabama, in Kentucky, in Florida, markets aren't so cut and dry. So figuring out the research for what your area's market or where you're looking to flip a house, what that market looks like, it's going to require research. That's one of the bigger parts of house flipping in terms of going from everyone can house flip, all they have to have is money and time, to being a good house flipper, somebody that is being very successful at this. It hinges on your ability to research market conditions, market values, and following trends. It can get very dangerous. So if you're looking at an area where the market values of the average home is $500,000, what you're looking for is a property that you can buy hundreds of thousands of dollars below that. $350,000, $375,000. If you buy a house at $400,000 and you want to sell it for $500,000, you only have $100,000 leeway before you're just breaking even. If you're trying to hit that magical $67,000 gross profit number, then you only have $33,000 to spend on renovation. I hope that makes sense. It's just pretty simple math. And you shouldn't hold to $67,000. It's just the current average. So when you're planning your budget, all of those things need to be taken into consideration, because just deciding that you're going to put $100,000 into this $400,000 home, and now you want to add profit to the end of it and say, well, now I want to sell it for $550,000. That's a great way to lose a ton of money. Because if the market is only bearing $500,000, adding $50,000 onto it for profit is just going to sit there. You're going to start having carrying costs. You're going to be paying your mortgage. You're going to be paying taxes on it. It might not sell until the market creeps up to being worth $550,000. So that's flipping. That's flipping in a nutshell. It can get much more in depth when we talk about what skills you need for flipping. You want to be able to research market conditions. You want to be able to work with general contractors, find a good general contractor, or be very handy yourself. If you have construction backgrounds or an ability to put forth the actual sweat equity into the property, that's another good way to get into flipping. Now, I'm going to take that concept of flipping and kind of tilt it a little bit and talk about turnkey creation. It's a similar career path. You are still operating on a similar concept, but once that property has been completed in terms of renovations, you've done all your flooring, you've done all your painting, you've done whatever it takes to go from a distressed property to now it is a place for someone to live. Instead of selling the property on the market and just taking away, the capital gains or the gross profit from the end of that, you're going to rent it, put a tenant in place. They're going to be paying you rent more so than what it costs you to own and operate the property. And that's going to start giving you monthly revenue, cash flow. You can then take it another step. And if you wanted to sell the investment to another investor, that's a good exit strategy for it. Or you can continue to build off of that through the BRRRR method, taking the equity from the difference of what you have in it to how much it's worth. You can take usually between 70 and 80% of that equity out as cash to reinvest in another property. And you can do that over and over. At a certain point, all of your rental income is going to be so massive that becomes your passive income. The BRRRR strategy is great for building a passive income, and your career path ultimately becomes doing research, finding those deals, making them work as a business. So that's one version of how to get into real estate investment as a career path. Property management is another great career path in real estate investment because there are several different roles you can play as a property manager. Generally speaking, the most basic premise of what property management is placing tenants, collecting rent, and performing maintenance. Depending on the size of the property management company that you would join as your career path, you can do anything from business development, which would be finding new clients that would like your property management services, leasing, so showing properties, helping tenants fill out their applications, making sure that we have the good tenants in the properties and placing them in there, performing inspections, so that can be sometimes leasing, it sometimes is maintenance. So there are move-in, move-out inspections, periodic inspections. This industry and property management in general is massive. There are several different property management companies all around the country. They all have vendors and software, and there are ways to join the property management industry that aren't even, they don't feel like real estate investment, but they all ultimately are. They're in some way operating a real estate investment, regardless of what that means. There's accountants and everything in between. There's all types of admin positions, but in a property management company, as a property manager, what's interesting when joining that career path is it allows you to see the process of a real estate investment in many times from very beginning to the end. When I joined the property management industry as a business development professional, it was a very interesting path that I followed, going from helping clients find the right property for themselves as a licensed real estate agent. That was a thing that I was able to help them identify and purchase, building out the models for what this investment should look like, using my expertise in the industry and the markets and understanding how the process would flow, signing them up for property management, placing a tenant in the property. And these aren't things that I all individually did, but it was through my company, finding a great tenant, planning with my individual investor what the rent was going to be, what the maintenance schedule was going to be, setting aside money each month to cover eventual maintenance costs. We know a roof is going to go bad eventually. We know a water heater is going to go bad eventually, an HVAC system. So planning all of that allowed me to see the entire process of a real estate rental investment. So that was a very interesting career path to go down to allow you to broaden your horizons. Once you kind of step out of property management, if we're going to skip past what else we can do in property management, they all kind of function individually on their own. Maintenance, you can answer calls, accountants, you're working with numbers, so on and so forth. But they are valuable career paths. Outside of property management, there are options to do asset management. Asset management is a very interesting career path option. It's similar to what I was just discussing in terms of my career path and development through the property management industry to where I am today. Asset management takes it a little bit farther. Instead of just collecting the rent or just putting the tenants in place or just doing the property management, which is task oriented, asset management really dives deeper into your job is to make sure the funds continue to grow. You are there to manage the investment. And that can mean choosing a property manager. Your job might be finding the best property manager in the area. It might be to actually do property management. Oftentimes it consists of some consulting in terms of what types of materials do we need to do, or what types of renovations we might need to do. Do we need to make this bathroom, a $30,000 bathroom because this is a really nice area and tenants living in whatever market we're in really expect giant soaker tubs and beautiful shower stalls and dual vanities and all the, nice amenities? Or Can we put in a Formica countertop and a tub shower combo and, kind of paint it a neutral color and be done with it? There are several different things that an asset manager does that's different than a property manager, but it's a similar concept in terms of making sure that this investment that either one person or several have invested money into continues to grow. There are companies called like real estate investment trusts that you can work in a variety of different roles for, similar to property management. There are several different things that you can do in this industry that allow you to maximize the returns for someone else. So you don't actually have to put your money into it, but that's still investing in real estate. Your money is still your pay, your career, your salary is still coming from maximizing the returns on a real estate investment. And once you've realized that there are several different options for you, you should look internally at what you're best at. Are you better at running numbers? Are you better at analysis? Are you better at buying and selling? Do you love to run out to the field and go and look at the properties? General contracting, development. Development is another great career path in real estate investment, developing out large, invest neighborhoods, even builders, general contracting. Those can all be branches of real estate investment and different career paths you can go down. One of the things recently that I've recognized in terms of how the real estate investment industry works, it's oftentimes through connections with people that are like-minded with you, that understand it's all numbers on a spreadsheet, and working to provide the best service for either an investor or a tenant is oftentimes a way to increase that bottom line. So it's in speaking with others and making good, lasting relationships with either investors or property managers or real estate agents that you can really get into this industry as a career. You can take your time, figure out what your passions are in real estate, and figure out what part can you fit. Real estate investment is a giant puzzle. So think of it as a huge map of the country, and your little puzzle pieces can fit wherever you want it to be. It's not going to fit in just one spot. You can kind of move them around. So it's a ton of different diverse options for you, but this industry will continue to go strong in America. The way that our economy is set up really allows a lot of money to flow through real estate investment. And that is going to ultimately end up making everyone in this field some level of successful. But it all comes down to you, your drive, your passion, and what you can do inside this industry to stand out. As long as you're working for someone, you could be making better. So you got to think about what it takes to go from an entry-level position, which could be a leasing agent, it could be business development, it could be sales. Getting yourself to becoming an expert at one field or another, and taking on those responsibilities and some ownership in it, so that you can thrive. There are flips that make $500,000 per flip. There are turnkey people that own dozens and dozens of properties that they never even have to go to anymore. They just collect revenue. There's property managers that work 80 hours a week though too. So this is not an industry for the faint of heart. It's not an industry for people that are lazy and want to sit around and do nothing. You've got to get after it. This is a hustle related industry. You've got to get in, roll up your sleeves, and make of it what you will. But if you do, this career is one of the most rewarding careers you can ever find yourself in. And I wish anyone getting into the real estate investment career path, I wish you all the luck. And if you need any advice, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm Jonathan Cook. You can email the podcast, let us know. But thank you everyone for joining us today. Make sure to like and subscribe. And if you're on the YouTube, hit the bell notification top of the page so you're aware when our newest episodes come out. But I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Have a great one.